All right, today is May 8th, 2021, and I am installing my two bee packages that I just picked up today with Jeff over here. So, let's see, I just finished putting the hives on and leveling them up so they're nice and level. And I'm starting off, I had some leftover frames with honey and wax in them from last year, so I've given them a bit of a base to start off with. So what I have to do now is go over and grab the bees, and then I'll come back and start installing them. But I guess I'll show you a little bit about the bases that I built. So I got three cinder blocks that I stacked up, and I inset one of them in the ground and got it as level as I could, and then glued them together with flex glue to get them to stay pretty sturdy.
And then even underwater.
Yeah, exactly. Even underwater. It even works underwater. And I leveled it all out so they're nice and flat. And with your hives, you're supposed to have a slight forward pitch so that any water that gets inside the hive will run out and doesn't get all moldy and foul up the inside of your hive. But other than that, everything else is level. So yeah, I'll be back in a little while with the bees. Okay, well I'm back. I got the bees over here. I got the hives all set up. Everything's going good. Got my suit on as well. So right now, what I'm planning on doing is just, installing them. That's really the simplest thing to do. So inside here, there's a can that has some sugar water in them. And you can see this little tab right here. This is the cage that the queen is in. She's attached to this. She's at the end of it. So what we're going to do is open this up, take the queen out first, carefully. Close it back up, don't let any of the bees out. Stick her on one of the frames. And leave a couple frames in the center open. We'll take them out and stick them aside. Then we're going to take the box and shake the bees in, get them all situated, get the queen in the right spot, put everything up and close it up, and then move over to the next hive. So that's the plan. Well, I probably don't really need all of my suit and everything on right now because they're probably pretty calm, but whatever. I haven't seen bees in a while, so I figured I'd wear this. It's safe. So when I open this up, the can's going to be right on top, so they can't get out. Or shouldn't be able to, at least. Yeah, so you can see the can's right there. Pull this off, get the staple out of the way. So what I'm going to do is pull this out, and then hopefully not, or try to squish as little bees as possible. Best thing to do is probably to flip this over. Actually, you're supposed to tap them down so you knock them off the can first. Like that. Now flip them over. I got the can. Pull this out carefully. Now some are going to get out, but it's okay. Gotta work it out carefully. There. Pull this out. So queen's in there. She's got some worker bees in there with her from her original hive. It's kind of hard to see her. She has a white spot in her back. What we're going to do here is take her. This these girls going in this hive. She's going to go right on the center frame. So like I said, I already have some frames in here that have been, or most of them have already been drawn out and have a lot of honey and wax and stuff already in them, and pollen. So it'll really give them a good, an easier time starting off. So let's see. Now the first thing I have to do is remove this cork on the bottom, right here. This is a sugar cork in here, and what this does is they're going to eat the sugar and release her. So gotta get this cork out like that. She's gonna go right in the center here. She has a lot of honey. I have a lot of extra honey. There. All over. She's gonna go right there. Now what we're gonna do is take from this side, take 2 of these frames out. Maybe even 3. Give enough space to shake the bees in. So move this down here. And we just shake them in.
Capturing that all on tape.
Yes.
Can you send that to me?
Yep.
My email, don't you? Fabulous.
I'm going to tap them a few times, try to get them all in a clump. Now all I have to do is just stick this out front and they'll all go in.
I was going to say, just stick it there, right? And they'll find it.
Because the queen, she's has pheromones. They can smell her from pretty far away.
How do you know she's in there?
She's in this little cage over here. I'll show it to you. So, yeah, so she comes from a different hive. These are all bees from a hive, and they just take a queen and put them with her. But if you stick a queen with the bees, normally, since they're not familiar with that queen, they'll kill her. So you stick her in a cage. She has some worker bees from her original hive in with her, and they'll get acclimated to her. And then I pulled this cork out, and there's some sugar right here, and they'll eat the sugar and let her out after a few days. And after that, they should be acclimated. And normally, if they don't like her, they will be really swarmed. There'll be a big clump around this, and they'll be trying to sting her to death. And you'll know that they don't like her because you won't be able to get them off.
How many hundred bees did we buy?
That's 4 pounds of bees.
Oh, what is that?
Equate to, that's about like 10,000 bees, a little bit less. So that's one hive done. So like I said, they'll find their way in there, especially once it starts to get cold. Just stick that right like that. The entrance is right there. And then just try to get some more out. Just like that. Now we will get out of the way. There we go. Okay, so that's that hive done. Now time for the next one. This one doesn't have as many drawn out frames. The other one was mostly already drawn out. This one has a few empty ones, which is good because I probably should have left some more in there because when bees first get in there, they're really going to try to build some comb. So I might even be able to put a second box on here once they start expanding. So now when you're putting frames in, you always want ones that aren't drawn on the outside. Because they're going to work their way out. They start clustered in the center, so if you have frames that have honey and resources already on them, put them in the center. Because they're going to start in the center where it's will cluster and stay warm at night and work their way out. So, except for this one right here, because I have to fit the queen in between. So the first one right in the center is going to be not drawn out. But he'll draw that out pretty fast. So, We're in there. First step was to knock them all down. Flip it over.
I have the Leatherman. Got needle nose on it.
I need that. Actually. Thank you. We have a saying here. A man without a multi-tool isn't a man. He's a tool. Thank you.
You are welcome. Oh, look at those beauties. There they are. Welcome home.
There we go. All right. So I'm going to reach in there and try to push this can out. Yep. I'm a little bit angry. Got stung. Ouch. Put that down in there. Now, you come back after about 3 or 4 days. She's not released. You want to release her yourself because she'll die otherwise. So if that happens, in that case, if they haven't let her out, there's a cork on this end. You can pull that out and she'll come right in. Of course, if the bees are now, like I said earlier, swarmed around here, like they're trying to sting her, or if they won't, if you brush them off and they keep going back on there, and they're in a massive clump, then that means they're not going to accept your queen. And if you let her out, they're probably going to kill her, which means you're going to need to get a new queen, unfortunately. Frames back in. Now it's important that you properly space your frames so there aren't any gaps in between them, especially when you're first starting off, because they're, like I said, they want to build comb. So if they have any space where they can build comb, they're going to do it. So you want to make sure that there's not any large gaps in between your frame, otherwise you're going to get some burr comb, which is really not fun to deal with. So you can actually scrape off some of the old stuff. Alright, now we're going to close this up, so I don't want to mess with them anymore. Now you want to make sure you put your top entrance facing up and forward. There we go. Now, it's back up there. I'm going to go grab another cinder block in a minute. And I have some of this paper right here that my hives were on top of, and some honey on here. So I'm just going to leave this here so they can clean it up. That's about it. Now, next thing that I'm going to want to do, since we're in May, right now, the beginning of May, so it still gets pretty cold at night, I'm going to come back out and we'll put some insulation around the hives just to keep them as warm as possible. Just for the first couple weeks, until they get bigger, and I'll take it off. And by then, it'll be warm enough anyway. And that's about it. I am gonna, since I have a lot of resources already in there for them, I'm not gonna have to feed them. So normally, if you're starting off and they don't have any comb or anything whatsoever, you're gonna want to feed them with sugar water to make sure they have enough food to make it. But like I said, I have honey and pollen and everything they're gonna need already in there, so they should be okay for the first month or two, and then they'll start getting their own resources. And as it is right now, I live in Rhode Island, so stuff's starting to bloom already. So they've got enough flowers to get a good amount of resources from. That's a bit about it. Well, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for Jeff for being my cameraman. And that's about it. And I'll see you guys all in the next video.
Hey, I just have a few more things that I'd like to say. I think bees are incredibly interesting creatures, and I think it's very important that we support our local ecosystems. Bees do so much for us, and yet we do so little for them. Did you know that 1 out of every 3 bites of food was pollinated by a bee? The bee population has been on a steady decline since the 1900s. Fortunately, thanks to the efforts of many beekeepers, it's begun to make a rebound. But we're not there yet. If you've ever thought about becoming a beekeeper, but you're having doubts, I implore you to do so. It's an incredibly rewarding experience, and not only do you get delicious honey, but you get the satisfaction of knowing that you're helping the environment, one bee at a time. Thanks so much for watching my video. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. And if you have any thoughts or suggestions for a future video, leave a comment below. Thanks so much.